Hi guys, welcome to Smile Style Philosophy. I, of course, am the Legendary SMYLZ, P Gang. In my previous video, I explained that I'm going to do a series of 15-minute long, possibly maybe up to 15-minute long YouTube videos explaining exactly with individual aspects why the movie Man of Steel sucked. In the previous video, I explained that one of the recurring themes that's going to happen in every single video that I'm going to touch on in every single video is the two major flaws that A, the movie was not a true reboot in the sense of the word. I'm going to show you why not giving us a true reboot, it was ineffective to the audience. And B, that the movie assumes, or the producers and writers of the movie assumes, that those who saw the movie were familiar with all of the characters, with all of the settings, and all of their relevances, so they felt like they didn't have to explain it. And that's going to be a major flaw as I touch on the different aspects. Now, from the beginning, and like I said before, I'm going to have a lot of spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled and you haven't seen it before, you can stop the video, go on to something else. Some other awesome video that I've done in the past. All right, we're gonna start from the beginning. The opening scene was beautiful. Just like traditional Superman fashion in any incarnation, it starts you off on Krypton. That was beautiful. That was good. That was the best depiction of Krypton that I ever seen on screen. It was a very in-depth look into Krypton. The opening scene showed you the Kryptonian scenery. It showed you its nature. It showed you its city. It showed you its architecture. It showed you its fashion sense. They gave you a sense of what type of people they were. They gave you a sense of their technology at that point in time. We got to explore Krypton. We was underwater on Krypton. We was in the air on Krypton. We was inside buildings on Krypton. We was outside of buildings of Krypton. There was interior Krypton shots, exterior Krypton shots. There was scenes that was shot from the high points of Krypton, and we went to the bowels of Krypton. We went everywhere on Krypton. We got to see a lot of the Kryptonian people. All of them had speaking lines. We got to see the council and their justice system. We got to see the warriors and the villains. And we got to see the scientists. We got to see the women. We got to see the men. We got to see the costumes. We got an in-depth look into Krypton. We even got to see the artificial intelligence that Krypton had to offer. Their series, so to speak. We got a lot in Krypton. But the main thing that made it absolutely beautiful was the entire opening Krypton scene happened in chronological order. That was very important, and that was a good decision. We got to see the events leading up to Krypton's destruction from a certain point, and it followed through until the destruction. That was excellent. Where the movie took a downward spiral is as soon as we leave Krypton, the movie begins to time jump from that point on. In fact, the next scene was a major time jump. All right, in Krypton, it established the importance of who and what Kal'El is and what it meant to the Kryptonians, right? We got to see the plight or Jor'El's intentions that he had for Kal'El, right, as a child. As soon as we get to Earth, there was a major, coincidentally, 33-year time jump. And I'm quite sure that age has some sort of relevance because most theologians believe that Jesus Christ died when he was 33. So I'm thinking they're doing some kind of twisted Jesus Christ reference by saying that Kal'El was 33 years old at the time of this movie. Okay, I get it. We got it. I get it. You're trying to parallel him to the savior of Christianity. I get that. But from that point on, when we first see Kal'El, the movie begins to time jump. It begins to put you in random places at random times with no explanation. On some points, he's a grown man in an unfamiliar place. Sometimes he's a child in an unfamiliar place. Now, the reason that was a poor decision is because of the chronological jumping. We did not get a chance to plant our feet into any of the scenes and get an attachment to what was going on. See, in the opening scene in Krypton, since it happened in chronological order, we got a good bit of what was going on. We got a chance to get our feet planted into the scenario and ride the roller coaster ride of the events of Krypton as it happened. We got to experience it. There was a build-up. There was a climax. Right? We got to establish something. But with the chronological time jumping, going from one aspect of Kal'El's life to another at randomly selected time periods, at randomly selected spots, we did not get the opportunity to get our feet planted in any scene. As soon as we got a feel for the scenario, as soon as we got a feel of what was supposed to be going on, we get taken away from that scene and then placed in another scene, and each scene had the same kind of motif. They put you somewhere that was unfamiliar and forced you to try to piece together what was going on. Granted, I understand that the audience is very intelligent, and they probably did. They probably did get a sense of what was going on. They probably did put the pieces together and follow the story correctly. But it was still poorly done. It was a bad decision. Why? Because although we can mentally piece together the story, we didn't get emotionally attached to it at all. We didn't get a sense of the scenario. We didn't care. But basically the entire movie we were just, oh, so that's why he did this and this is why he did that, without no emotional attachment to why or how. We didn't care. We did not get a chance to care about anything. We didn't get a chance to care about the characters. We didn't get a chance to care about the city. We didn't get a chance to care about the farm. We didn't get a chance to care because they never sat us in one spot long enough so we can develop a relationship with the characters or the scenes. We didn't. They kept time jumping. Now, why did they do that? Once again, it goes back to what I was saying in the previous video. They did that because they assumed we already knew. They assumed we knew who the characters were. They assumed we knew at what point in time of Kal'El's life we were at. They assumed we were familiar with the characters and enrolled to Kal'El. They assumed all that. They assumed what Perry White meant to Clark Kent. They assumed what Jonathan Kent meant to Kal'El. They assumed that we already knew that what Lois Lane meant to Superman. They assumed that we knew it already, so they didn't have to explain it. All they had to do was present you with the scenes that we're familiar with to show you that it happened so we can be satisfied. But that didn't give us the opportunity to get attached to. Do you understand what I'm saying? When you watch the movie again, if you watch the movie again, you're going to see what I'm talking about. If you enjoyed the movie and you saw those scenes and how it happened, it's probably, and it didn't bother you, it's probably because you already knew the characters. You already knew Perry White, you already knew Lois Lane, so you didn't really need that explanation. But mind you, this was supposed to be a reboot. It was supposed to be a reboot, not a remake or a review. A reboot means you're supposed to reintroduce these aspects. Reintroduce me to Lois Lane. Reintroduce me to Jonathan Kent and Martha Kent. Reintroduce me to Metropolis. Reintroduce me to Smallville. What are they? Who are they? It's a reboot. You're supposed to tell me these things as if I've never heard of them before. The Easter eggs were there, don't get me wrong. For those who are lifelong Superman fans or fans of the movies or the comic book or the show Smallville, there were a lot of Easter eggs that you can put together. They were familiar characters. Lana Lang, Pete Ross, yeah, they were all there, but they didn't explain their relevance in the movie. This was supposed to be a standalone reboot, okay? A standalone reboot. In a way that the Dark Knight trilogy was. They explained what Bruce Wayne was and what the characters meant for him. Who was Alfred? What is Gotham City? Where was Gotham City? What was going on in Gotham City at the time? They didn't do any of that with the Man of Steel because the writers and producers automatically assumed we knew already, so there was no need to explain. Now, if this had been a sequel, that would have been okay. Because in a sequel, that means the previous movies were supposed to establish all that. But in Man of Steel, it assumes that it's already established, so they didn't have to fucking explain shit. And that was a poor decision. I'm sorry. I'm going to go on to the next thing that made the movie suck in detail. I'm one sip away. Hold on.